Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? Hey Paula, thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself today. So, last week was quite the busy week. Big market movements, technological innovations, corporate and institutional activity, regulatory and policy developments, risks and controversies, Monero, Arc blockchain, market divergence, all that kind of stuff. And then we have a kind of future outlook that we could talk about. There's a lot of stuff that happened last week, right? Some of the big ticket items. I mean, I'm not going to look over every detail. If you want to look over every detail, you can definitely look at the videos that we already have up. But over the past week, what's been big? Ethereum blew up. Ethereum blew up in a major fashion. Solana blew up. I mean, almost everybody took off, right? But by far, Ethereum was the surprise. So you've got Ethereum had reached, what, 4,700 at one point? So well over the 4,500 that people thought, which was the highest since December 2021. Then you had corporate treasury purchases, Bitmine, $20 billion in funding to acquire 1.15 million ETH. Yeah, big stuff. Yo, my man, Rick Ritchie, definitely invested in himself. Rick, did you get an email by any chance from Grow My Bag? Just wondering. Because I had one big bagger say they didn't get it. I had another big bagger say they got it. And I also know that I'm for sure that they went out. I'm just wondering if they wound up in spam or something like that. Anywho, we have, what else we have? $1 billion in inflows into U.S. spot Ethereum ETFs. Oh, you did. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you click the link, it'll take you to the post. I mean, you might have to log in, but it'll take you to the post and you can do your thing. So, yeah, we have more coming. That was a big thing to get out the door. I mean, it seems small, but you figure everything on a social media platform is about notifications and communication, right? So the next one that's probably going to hit is going to be DMs. Then we have content, just a lot of stuff coming out right now. A lot of stuff happening like pretty damn quickly. What else do we have? Bitcoin volatility and warnings. We had the Monero crisis. What was the Monero crisis? Monero had a crisis in that people were saying that it could be taken over by a 51% hack. Doubtful. Yeah. But no, these things can happen. These things can definitely happen across anywhere. It's just people need to understand that the probability isn't high. There's a lot you have to do to perform that kind of a hack. So, or 51%, it's called a 51% attack. And it's fears that it could happen by Cubic. Okay. Threatening its privacy coin status. And I'm kind of like, we'll see about that. The other part is that I saw something like that and I was like, oh, that could be a time to purchase. To me, that was like, oh, that could be something. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering, Control F, XMR, there it is. It's still up 37.9% for the year. Over the past 24 hours, it's still up about 5.86%. It's taken big hits. It's taken big hits before, but I'm kind of like, it's still in the top 30 coins. I don't know that I'm going to be worried about it. I really don't know that I'm going to be worried about it. I have a good question for you guys. What was the most important thing that affects your bag that's happened over the past week? Drop it in the comments. I want to know what you're thinking, what the big news is over the past week that either affected you this week or is going to affect you in the coming weeks. What else is there? Let's see. Willy Woo issued a major bearish comment about Bitcoin and allegedly has sold off his Bitcoin. Now, there are a number of well-known individuals out there that are saying that the United States is going to go flat for the next like 10, 15 years. And they're looking to invest overseas. And if they're investing in a US-based company, they want to make sure that that US-based company makes over 50% of its money overseas. And I'm just like, wow. What's that say about the global economy if the US does poorly? What does that look like? And that was one of the things one of the trends that I had been seeing over the past week. Something else I saw I've been paying attention to, and I say it all the time, it has been energy. So supposedly there are enough deals out there, supposed deals out there, that would have us selling more energy than we could possibly produce at this time. I want you to think about this. The way I'm looking at it is, we have an energy grid, a national energy grid that barely produces, and I'm not playing, barely produces enough energy that we need now. We've had rolling blackouts in the past, and that can happen again. You're not that far off, right? And the prices are going to skyrocket. You want to know what else that I didn't say is going to skyrocket? I mean, I touched on it once because Google's involved. The jobs. What does energy bring with it? Plumbers, because you need water to cool all these AI devices and all that good stuff, all these AI data centers. So that's going to be one. So plumbers is going to grow. Electricians, that's going to be huge. Blue collar jobs are coming back. Blue collar jobs are coming back. In other words, all of these things that are happening in technology won't happen without blue collar workers. Google itself is investing money to train 30,000 people to become electricians. Imagine. And Rick Ritchie, you think if the U.S. does poorly, the rest of the world does poorly? I don't know that you're wrong. I think the rest of the world does poorly, but does the U.S. take a harder hit? Something else that I have to consider. If the rest of the world does poorly, does that make it time to actually start investing in other parts of the world? What happens if the economy in the United States is unique? The situation makes it unique to the United States. And some people have asked me, why am I thinking that? It's because the new regime has moved far away from renewables, renewable energy, that is. So if we're moving away from renewables, we barely create the energy that we need now. Our exporting of energy, usually in liquid natural gas, will have to diminish because we can't sell what we need. And like I said, we don't produce enough energy. And leaning on coal is also not going to do it. So we would have to build what, more wells? That's not happening. There's nothing like that that's online right now. And you're moving away from solar, wind. Are you serious? New regime literally said we're not going to be building any windmills. What? Free energy from the wind. Are you serious? Okay. Let's see how that plays out when we need all that energy. All these people that don't have solar panels or some kind of way of creating energy for their own homes, their energy prices are going to skyrocket. Our energy needs could cause an economic crisis. As a matter of fact, just based on math, our energy needs have already created the crisis, and nobody's talking about it. except for all the people that have been ringing the bell that, hey, we have a problem right now. We have a problem right now. So that's what I've been paying attention to as well over the past week. And that's big. That's really, really big. I've been paying attention to car companies. There's one car company in particular that I'm not pleased with, and that would be GMC, because GMC is blaming everything. I mean, blaming their woes on the tariffs. Now, I can believe that they're affected adversely by the tariffs. I can also believe that they're affected adversely by the fact that they build crappy cars. Yeah, GMC. I have a couple. They're crap. One of my cars is in the shop right now. In the shop right now. And I had just gotten it back like a week and a half ago. I've had the car for a little less than 5 months. It's been in the shop for 30 days. Yeah. So when I look at auto sales, all the auto deals that are coming out, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. All right. We'll see how this works out. But a lot of car companies are having problems. Stellantis is having problems. Just a lot of car companies are having problems. And by the way, let's not forget that over the past week, we've also gotten PPI, CPI back. That didn't look well. And I don't think it's going to stay that good. Yeah, that's what I said. The numbers that we got back were not good, and I don't think it's going to stay that good. Eventually, those companies are going to have to pass along those costs, and some of them have already started. A lot of people are going to the grocery stores and starting to get wake-up calls like, oh man, that costs more than it did last week. Yeah. Food prices are going to go up in a big way. Better learn how to farm. Start growing your vegetables. Pick out what you eat the most and see if you can, in terms of fruits and vegetables, and see if you can grow it yourself. Because if it's imported, you better change your diet, because those prices are going to go up. Mind you, I still have yet to hear any kind of a plan to solve our $37 trillion debt problem. $37 trillion in debt, and we still have no plan on the books on how we're going to tackle that. Nobody's saying a word. And I'm just like, it's big as day. How do we miss it? I don't get it. Now, technological innovations. Circle's Arc blockchain, launched as a layer 1 blockchain, features, it's supposed to be featuring about 3,000 to 10,000 transactions per second. Is going to be using USDC as the gas token. It's no joke. They're trying to expand the usefulness of USDC. Can't be mad at them about that. The only problem I have is I can't keep my money in a stable coin. Why is that? Well, it's tied to a fiat that's going down in value. Why would I keep my money in a stable coin? I will flip to a stable coin when I need to. When I need to. Because it's not going to hold value. You need all kinds of other coins like Bitcoin, something, gold, something that can hold value. That fiat is not going to hold value. I see nothing but problems coming from that. Right? And then Peter Thiel has an Ethereum bet with ETHZilla, remember? Formerly known as 180 Life Sciences. Changed their name. What kind of a leap is that? 180 Life Sciences to ETHZilla. Interesting. Their stock jumped 200% because of Peter Thiel's involvement. Not to mention his involvement with Bullish, right? So it's very interesting. Very interesting. And don't think that Peter Thiel is new to the game. He backed Vitalik Buterin in the building of Ethereum. I'm not a fan of Peter Thiel, but he's a smart guy, somebody to pay attention to. Just saying. Just saying. So I do have issues, with certain things that he backs, and I'm just like, I don't think I can get behind that. Then you have Transact, one of the onboarding companies from fiat to crypto back to fiat, right? Raised $16 million to scale their fiat to crypto infrastructure. That's what they're trying to do. That's not a small thing either. Again, when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at infrastructure. I'm looking at what is going to support other things. And it's not small. It's not small. I mean, when you look at what Bitmine is doing, when you look at what Circle is doing, when you look at what Bullish is doing, you start to realize, holy moly, there are even other companies that are building out their infrastructure, that are getting more involved in supporting other things, trying to become a part of the fabric of Web3. Because the more a part of the fabric you become, the greater usage you get. See where that goes? Kind of a big deal. So I'm looking at that stuff, right? Impact from the Genius Act. Everything is impacted by the Genius Act. DeFi is starting to pop up, right? All kinds of reasons to get into DeFi. DeFi is definitely stretching out a bit. And I'm looking at DeFi and saying to myself, well, what can DeFi do that it couldn't do before, because now traditional finance is moving over to DeFi? You ever see some of that? If you're paying attention to the big banks, a lot of these banks are starting to realize, oh, we better get involved in DeFi. They're still trying to figure out their way. Yeah. Now you know why I'm saying it's a very big deal to pay attention to what's going on out there. Very big deal to pay attention to what's going on out there. Because a lot of companies, a lot of projects out there, they're finding their way. They're moving away from traditional finance because traditional finance isn't doing anything for them. Meanwhile, traditional finance, while still trying to get involved in the new crypto world, is still fighting for their domination, right? A part of that is, well, you have the banking industry go to the government and say, hey, can you close that loophole in the Genius Act that allows non-banks to offer staking rewards, interest? That's not going to work. That's not going to work. That's dead on arrival. Like, seriously, that's dead on arrival. There are companies that are preparing for that kind of a change, though, in that they're filing to become banks. So even if the banks get what they want, those companies that are already offering stable coins are starting to file to become banks. Now what? The banks are expending a lot of energy trying to stop the inevitable instead of rethinking how they do business and what their business is. So I saw signs of that over the past week. That's definitely going to affect things in the following weeks. So yeah, there's a lot to pay attention to. A heck of a lot. Amazing. Wait a minute. Let me see something. Only 3 votes. Okay. Only 2 people are investing, are figuring out their why. Because today's question is, have you figured out your why? And few people said yes. It's yes, no, what do you mean by why, and other. Your why is, why are you investing? And it helps you set the tone when you figure out why you're investing, and not just for the sake of investing, not just, oh, because I think it's fun. Oh, nah. Do you have a why? Do you have a reason? So I say to you guys all the time, I'm not living for my first name, I'm living for my last name. So my why is my kids. My why is all of my kids. Everything is for them. Nothing else matters. to me. I know there are people out there that are figuring out, well, I want to invest because I want to save a little bit more money because I want to travel more. Not because I want to take this trip, but because I want to travel more. The larger goal. That's what I mean by what's your why. Because I know a lot of people out there have not figured out their why. And when you don't figure out your why, what you're looking at is not necessarily something that's going to be a success. If you don't know why you're doing something, then why are you doing it? And if you're doing it because it's fun, then you're part of the gamification of investment, and that can be dangerous. Now, if you have a why, that means you're putting a certain amount of importance into that why, into that reason. And if it's important, you'll understand the importance of doing well. Max Alice, I want to create generational wealth. It's pretty broad. That's pretty broad. But that means that you're living for your last name, not your first name. I want my future generations to be able to do better. That's literally what Max Alice is saying. I want my future generations to do better, to be positioned well. I want to be able to hand things down. Do you know most people have nothing to hand down to the next generation? Other than, maybe family heirlooms. I want to be able to hand down a family heirloom that kind of looks like the size of a freaking house. That's kind of what I want to do. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people don't have it like that because they're thinking about stuff. I have a rule in my house. I don't buy stuff. I buy things I need, sure. I'm not all about trying to buy stuff. Stuff is the crap that you don't need. You know what I mean? Stuff is, I have a $20 bill in my pocket, but as soon as I buy a bag of chips, that $20 is gone. That's stuff. I don't know where the $20 went. If I have $20 in my pocket, I can take 10 and put it in crypto as an investment and take the other 10 and go, okay, I'm going to go do some other stuff. Remember when $10 would actually be entertaining? You could go to the movies with $10. You can't go to the movies now with $10. Remember when you used to be able, even now, remember when you used to be able to get on an online streaming service for $10? That's becoming few and far between, isn't it? Few and far between to hop on a streaming service for $10. I know there are a lot of people sitting there and they're starting to think, well, isn't Netflix under 10? Ooh, maybe not. Spotify? Maybe. But imagine you can't go to the movies. What movie theater are you going to for $10? Tell me. So I try not to buy stuff because I need as much money as possible to be able to make that dream come true, for me to be able to hand down significant things to future generations. Like, I'm sitting in a house. I like my house. I love my house. I can picture a day where I'd probably want to sell it, to get the money out. And then I came to the realization that my kids are never going to let me sell this house. They grew up here. That's not going to be a thing. That's not going to be a thing. So there's that. And Cornell Robinson, I agree with you when you say investing will become a necessity for survival. That's right. I say that all the time. And I look at again, we do the Sunday Roundup because we're looking at the past week and what are we going to be bringing forward in the next week. I gave you the whole thing around energy. There are towns out there that are going to have data centers inches away from homes, and that's going to affect their water prices immediately. Access to water is going to be affected. Their energy prices are going to shoot up. Now, pause for a moment. Why is it that when we build not us, but when they build a new data center that our energy prices have to go up? Why can't their energy prices go up? Sound right? But that's not how it works. Here's something for you that I was looking at over the past week. Why is it that big businesses get tax incentives while their workers need government benefits just to make ends meet? If you're a large corporation and you've got people sleeping in your parking lot, instead of going home, the parking lot is their home. Why is that? Oh, you don't pay a livable wage is what that means. Interesting. So I started doing some research on companies that are not paying their employees well. Big companies that have big money. What are they doing with that money? Are they giving some to their employees to live? No, they're giving it back to the shareholders because everything is about the shareholders. I ask you guys all the time, go back and do some research on who is investing in the stock market. That pool of people in the United States is small. In most cases, the closest that people get to investing in the stock market is their 401k. And half of them don't even know how to set up their 401ks properly. Unfortunate. Which is why we're here to try to help all of us learn more. Kind of, crowdsourcing education, if you will. Because not all of us know everything. But this growing crowd, somebody's going to know more than somebody else who's going to know more than somebody else. And we'll all be able to pool that information and grow. Right? But it's amazing. That's why I say, when I look at these jobs that are coming and people are saying, oh, the end of the year is going to be really good. For who? For who? Everybody was laughing at me before, months ago when I was talking about how, you're able to buy loose eggs the way you're able to buy loose cigarettes, loosey eggs like loosey cigarettes, right? Not so funny anymore. Now that we know that that's a possibility and that that's going on, it's kind of been normalized. You go to the store. Remember, you used to go to the store with $100 and come home with you feel like you came home with the whole store, bags and bags and bags and bags and bags. You'll be lucky if you come home with a bag today with $100. A bag. In New York, beef prices, taking a rocket ship. This is all no joke. So yeah, when I tell you guys that investing is going to be the only way that we're going to be able to make ends meet, I'm not saying that lightly. I'm looking at the numbers. CPI came in at numbers that people were kind of like, oh, that's okay. That's all right. But you want to know who drove those CPI numbers? Wasn't the regular people. It was the people in the bucket up here. They're spending. We're not spending a lot. Look at fast food chains. They're all taking a hit. Do you think these people up here eat at fast food chains? They don't eat at fast food chains. No. People down here eat at fast food chains. Think about that. And they're all taking a hit. As you sit there and you kind of go, you're seeing signs. But are you stopping every weekend to pause? Paul, I'll get to that in a moment. I'm sorry. Are you taking a moment to take a look back and kind of go, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I forgot about those numbers that came in that aren't so great. The numbers come, the market reacts, and then we forget about it. Did you all remember that over the past week, we've heard that Well, BLS is considering not putting out any monthly numbers anymore. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a possibility. That'll make you stop and wonder, doesn't it? I took high risk until 45 and then switched to low and no risk for my 401k. Right after I did that, the market crashed. That's usually how it works. When you're young, you take risks. As you get older, you decrease your risk. Here's what I mean by investing. Investing is a risky business, isn't it? And what I'm going to say is that model, risky when you're young, less risky when you're older, that's going to change. You might have to keep those risk levels, keep those aggressive levels. Why? Because you're going to need it to survive. Average grocery prices jumping 39% over the past week. I will say in some areas. But imagine, in some areas it's jumped 39%. In other areas, that means it's jumped. How big is that? How big is that? When I contemplate the possibility of Bitcoin reaching $1 million by 2030, I go, oh, the numbers are there. Pause. What's the relative value of fiat? What's $1 million? What's $1 million today versus what we think it'll be in 5 years? I think I just heard a collective gulp. Think about that. So see what I mean by we're going to have to invest just to survive? That was a big gulp by a lot of people just now that just sat there and went, holy crap, that's, yeah. When we project, big numbers for crypto, for any of our investments, crypto, real estate, business, whatever, when we're projecting forward, something that we also must do is project forward our ability to spend that money, which is most likely still fiat. There will be things that will come along where we can pay in crypto, right? But the denomination of those bills is still probably going to be in your local fiat. Dollar, rupee, ruble, whatever the heck it is, right? Euro, whatever the heck it is. Yen, real, whatever it is. And if that gets tanked, the value of that crypto is going to match. It might be holding value, but remember what that value is denominated by. Unless, holy smokes, the dollar's devaluing. What's the value of that Bitcoin that you're holding? Is it going up or is it maintaining as this goes down? Dollar goes down and it's just maintaining. It's not maintaining. It took a hit. So what I'm saying is we have to project the value that we currently hold in our bags. As well as, I think Bitcoin is going to be $1 million. We're all thinking $1 million today. We're not thinking $1 million 5 years from now. And nobody says it like that either. Oh, I projected to hit, $1 million, $1.5 million, 1.5 million. The value is going to affect that. Because now what I'm thinking is, does it mean that $1 million, right, that it's going to be worth $1 million, but the value of those dollars has decreased, which is why it's $1 million? I pay attention to that. Inflation will make everyone a millionaire eventually. Not quite sure what you mean by that. How does inflation make everyone a millionaire? Is it because it'll take $10,000 to buy a loaf of bread? So eventually the value of a dollar or whatever fiat you're playing with, gets debased so much that it takes more of it to buy things. So you might actually get paid more at work, but it's going to cost more to do things. And eventually you'll have a million of this, maybe like pesos or something like that. If you're thinking like that, then I can buy into that. There are certain realities that I'm looking at and it's scary. It's scary. And we really should be contemplating those things. When you do your calculations, what is the value that you're holding? Thank you for that, Cornell. I figured that's what you meant. Just saying. And then there's the rise and fall of every single leading fiat over history, right? The Dutch, the English, the United States. As the United States is coming down, China's coming up. But will it be the yuan or will it be crypto? I think crypto could beat it to the punch. Because crypto is global, yuan is not. Another reason why I believe that the United States can be in a very unique situation is that we spend a lot of time in the United States thinking that we're the best, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. Then when you go to other countries and you sit back and go, how the hell were we ever saying we were the best? Pick a topic. Education, food production, technology. Pick it out. Here's a recent example that will affect you. Artificial intelligence comes out. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody's got access to it. And it costs so much money, blah, 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 blah. It could do so much, yada, 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 yada. So OpenAI winds up making so much money from AI because they're the biggest batters on the block. And then you see Anthropic pop up and all these other companies really pop up and cause at least some competition at that highly costly level, right? And then here comes tiny little Chinese DeepSeek and Quen that come out with their models that you can run locally that are just as good. That should have made everybody stop and think about that. Why are you still running models? You want to know how OpenAI can go out of business? It can go out of business if everybody decided, I'm going to run AI locally on my own machine. That's how it can go out of business. And guess what? That would also affect energy needs. Because your laptop, your desktop computer, almost anybody running a gaming rig can do AI locally. Yeah. So you look at that and you go, damn, that means that data center that they're building, oh, I don't need that. They're only building it because they think they're going to have to handle it for so many people on a global scale. I don't need that if I'm running it locally. I never have to look at your AI. I can use local versions of AI. The big news over the past week, oh boy, ChatGPT came out with their big model and they made, a model usable by everybody else, locally. It compares to their model from 2 versions ago. They're at 5. It's comparable to 3 at best. It's crap. I'll tell you that. It's crap. We're running local models versus the newer models. And I mean online versions. Don't need them anymore. Our local versions do very well. That should make you gulp. So there are a lot of developments, again, over the past week that are going to help you kind of fill out what you're going to do next week and over the coming periods of time. What quarter are we in right now? 3rd quarter, right? toward the end of third quarter, what do we think is going to happen? End of September, what do we think is going to happen? Rate cuts, maybe. I don't think it's locked in. I really don't think they're locked in. Could be. My chances are, my numbers say the chances are we'll get a rate cut. 25 basis points. It's a feel-good thing because you get the rate cut. But 25 basis points is not a lot. It's not a lot. Even if you said, oh, we'll get another rate cut. Okay, 50 basis points. Great. There's not enough of an argument, in my humble opinion, for them to make the first cut 50 basis points. I don't think so. We need to find a way to stop greed. The race to become a billionaire, why? What are you going to do with that money? What are you going to do with that money? I'm not saying that it's horrible, but I'm just saying this. What are you going to do with it? Because you're a billionaire, but the people that work for you don't make enough to have a good meal at the end of the day. You're a billionaire, but your people don't make enough of a salary to buy a home. Think about that. Back in the day, you used to be able to buy a house on a regular salary. You can't do that anymore. Cannot do it anymore. Aloha 8 Pause. Thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself. Letting us know you invested in yourself. Max Salas, did you invest in yourself today? Forgot to ask. So yeah, you start to realize that holy moly, what we're looking at from those numbers are about to carry forward. Those PPI numbers said that businesses have been eating the tariffs. I fully expect next quarter, those businesses will not be eating the tariffs. They might still actually be paying more for what they have to do to get product. But I don't think they're going to be eating those prices, which means that that's why we're starting to see even more of a hit at the consumer level. The real consumer level, not the people up here that are actually still spending like la 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 la. The rest of us, the regular people. Just saying. It's quite the big deal. So if you're going to invest, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Investing is not going to be a choice for us in the future. It's not. So look at it like this. If you don't have a choice but to invest, what kind of world are we living in? A two income family that can't afford to buy a house? Can't afford to raise their kids in a house? What are these people doing? They're leaving. Why? Because other countries are paying them to go there. Oh, you want to keep importing all these, H-1B visa people? To literally give them the jobs that you just fired a whole bunch of people from? Guess what? It's becoming too expensive here. It's becoming too expensive here. Why do you think you keep hearing about all these deals between India and all these other countries? Because it's becoming too expensive here. And they know that eventually that food train is going to run out. Thank you, Max. Thank you for letting us know that you invested in yourself. That's a big deal. I hope people are paying attention. I don't think they are. Imagine we're importing people to take the jobs that we just fired the locals from doing, and we're calling that profits for our shareholders. But the people here locally can't afford to buy your products, your services, because they can't find work. So eventually, they're not going to buy your products and services. eventually people will be like, it's really nice to have a green grass, have green grass in my backyard, green grass in my front yard. And people are going to be like, screw that. I have to grow some fruit. I have to grow some vegetables. I have to grow, some spinach, some lettuce. I'm going to have to start growing this stuff because it's too expensive. And then they start to realize that's why there's such a movement in, farming. Like local farming. I don't mean like farms. I mean like local homes. Small gardens growing into huge gardens. Why? Canning and preserving year over year. That's becoming a normal conversation. I have a whole lot of friends that we didn't, when we were younger, we weren't talking about gardening. What? Yo, how's your spinach looking? What? That's like a normal question now. Oh man, I wasn't watering my tomatoes properly, so I got, I got some bad tomatoes. Okay. Normal conversations, because we can't afford to go to the store to buy fruits and vegetables. Do some research on how many fruits and vegetables are imported into the United States. Do some research on that. And you'll start to realize, holy moly. Avocados is, last time I checked, that's not a US product. What up, Turtle Bitcoin? So imagine it's not a US product. That means we import it. From where? Do they have tariffs? Everybody's got tariffs now. So all of that imported food, we're going to pay more for. When people sit back and they go, oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to grow it local. No, we're not. Self-independence is going to be a big deal. Self-independence is going to be huge. I know next year I'm going to have a bigger garden. I'm going to have a way bigger garden. Lawn mowing? Yeah. Half my lawn is going to go away. In the backyard, half my lawn is probably going to go away. I need to grow food. It's too expensive. And guess what? Tastes a hell of a lot better because it's fresh. I get up in the morning and I want an omelet. I walk outside. I grab some basil off the little plant that I have. Oh, I'm gonna make some salmon. I go outside and I grab some dill. Tastes way better. I'll go outside and just grab a twig of dill as I'm doing some stuff and chew on it because it tastes that good. Yeah. Crazy, right? But when I look at how much things cost and what it takes to survive, it's no joke. Rick Ritchie and I were joking around one day and we were like, oh, I've got 22 panels in my backyard. Holy crap. He's got 22 solar panels in his backyard. And we weren't talking like it was a competition or anything like that. We were talking as if it was a freaking necessity. I've got 53 panels on my roof. 53. 53 panels. He's got 22 panels. At the end of the conversation, you know what we both said? Ha ha! Producing our own energy. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. I see somebody and they have solar. I'm like, yeah, you got the message. You got the hint. You got the hint. Neighbor across the street, she's like, who did you use? Yeah. And I'm still thinking about adding wind into the mix. Why is that? Wind is 24/7. Solar is only half the day. Wind is 24/7. If I had a water feature on my property, I'd be running that. But wind is another way that I can make money. Now, what I would do is I'm still waiting for us to get the better technology for batteries because I don't want to use Tesla. I don't want to have a battery that's phoning home. I want to buy batteries, maintain my own batteries, and they're mine. They're not phoning home usage or anything else like that. They're mine. Oh, they're going to go back into the grid? No, they're not. They're going to power my house at night. That's what they're going to do. Change my oven to well, I have an electric oven. So yeah, electric oven, solar, wind. I'm changing how I do things because I'm trying to prepare for the hits that are coming. 8 pause, creating a food forest in your yard, not just a garden. I have to build up to that. Baby steps. My God. It's sustainable, multi-layered planting system designed to mimic the structure and function of a natural forest, but with edible plants. Yep. I got to take baby steps to get there. Because it's one of those things that, you know, that's not what I do for a living. I mean, that's what I do to live, but that's not what I do for a living. So I've got to build up to that. I've got to do things that I think that, you know, as low maintenance as possible, but fruitful enough to make it worthwhile. Well, I can go out here and still make money doing what I do. There's a balance to every house that's going to be doing stuff like that. But I think more and more people are going to be doing this. Every year I make chili. Why? Make it in big bulk because it's the fastest thing to throw in the microwave, and now you've got lunch, dinner. Forgot to take chicken out to make for dinner. I can just throw chili in the microwave and boom, there's dinner. Some sour cream, some bread. Beautiful thing. Peppers from the garden. Yeah. My neighbors next door, they make tomato sauce. They're Sicilian. They make tomato sauce every year. They get out the huge pot. Huge. Somebody could bathe in their pot. Like, it's no joke. They got the big spoon, right? Yeah, that's what they do. We all understand that. It sounds funny, and it sounds like it's nothing but tradition. But then you start to realize, no, we're actually saving money. It's those tiny little things that we're doing to save money. It's not being cheap, it's being realistic. So when I look at all these things that are going on, right? Ethereum having a bull run coming up, highly possible. Bitcoin having a bull run coming up, highly possible. You know what I do? I think about, what am I going to do when it goes up? Go up, take a little. Wait to see if it pulls back or continues going up. Wait. Starts pulling back, take a little. As soon as it makes that little hook, take a little. Now, if it goes back up, okay, I'm still not mad because I only took a little. What do? I don't waste that money. I put it to the side. I put it in dry powder. I add it to DCA strategy. It's still going to be utilized. Or I put it into another business, or I put it into another revenue stream. It's all we're looking for. It's all we're looking for. I think the U.S. economy has a lot of moving parts, and I think that people lose track of some of these moving parts. Something I read today, you have people that have mortgages on their homes at like 3%, and they've got enough money to put down on another home. And what do? They put that value down on another home and rent out the old home. The unexpected landlord. That's what they're calling it. The unexpected landlord. Because we're not going to give up those loans. We're not going to give up those houses at those prices. Have you lost your mind? So now with the money that they're making off of the primary home, well, what's now the rental home, they're able to pay the mortgage on the second home. Meaning they're making enough to pay this and pay that, or at least a portion of that. So it makes sense to go do it. Again, doing the math and figuring out how to look forward and how to maximize your income, maximize your opportunities. That's what I'm looking at. Now you know why every week every week without fail. Even if I'm not doing a show, every week without fail, I'm looking over the past week. I'm taking all of my notes, and combing over them. What are the common trends? All that stuff. And looking forward. I saw a YouTube short on how to make Sprite using pine tree needles, sugar, and water. Okay, that's interesting. I can't even lie. That's interesting. That's really interesting. But the bigger point is not the recipe. The bigger point to me is that you're seeing more and more and more of that kind of content. How can I make whatever it is I need cheaply? I need bug repellent. Do I have to go to the store and spend oodles of money on that? No, I can do it locally. I can do it here at home myself. And I'll be fine. What is it, crawling red thyme or something like that? You can plant around your house and it helps to keep mosquitoes away because they don't like the scent. It's little stuff like that. People are finding that content. That content is becoming, I'm literally looking at numbers. That content becomes more and more popular. And we're not talking about, remember back in the day we were cracking jokes about doomsday preppers? We're not talking about doomsday preppers anymore. We're not laughing at them anymore. We're each becoming a tiny little doomsday prepper. Making chili for the year, making tomato sauce for the year, growing your own food, canning, canning the extra, all that stuff. You're not being a doomsday prepper. You're just trying to save some money. Think about that. Doomsday prepping has now become normalized as saving money. Does that make you scratch your head? Does that make you stop and go, oh, that's, I know it makes me stop. I used to crack up at my friends, doomsday prepping. What the hell are you doing? And be like, yeah, I'm a prepper. Not really a prepper. I'm saving my seeds so I don't have to go spend $50 bazillion on them. And people are like, how do you save seeds? I go outside. I snip the head off my dill. That's where all the seeds are. That ball. I don't know if you can see it in the window. I snip that head off. I put it in a paper bag, let it continue to dry out, shake them all out. Those are the seeds. I plant them out next year. Again. The tomato plants, they're full of seeds. Take a couple of tomatoes, pop out the seeds. You can still use the rest of the tomatoes. You're just stealing the seeds. Aha. Dry them out. You have them for next year, and next year, and next year, and next year, and next year. You start to realize, holy crap, there are things that I can do that can save me money. Solar is, if you own your own home, solar is going to be a huge deal. I dropped my bill by 50% going solar. Actually, more than 50% by going solar. It'll be better next year. I just got it. So next year, my solar panels will produce about 109% of what I actually need. That's right. I'm producing 9% more than what I actually need. And that's with 3 EVs in the house. Not 1, not 2, 3. So yeah, kind of a big deal. I kind of sit back and I look at that and I go, yeah, that was a good deal. Drop my bill like that. Next year, my bill should probably be less than half. And then my bill goes to like jack. Add some wind. Now I've turned it into a revenue stream. See? Every week, do your own research, know your entries and exits, absolutely invest deliberately. Define your why. Why are you investing? Building multi-generational wealth? Okay, not mad about that. But have a reason why. When you say you're building multi-generational wealth, I try not to use that phrase. I try to say, I'm living for my last name. It means more, has more impact. Building multi-generational wealth to me is what they say. I'm still down here For me, it's just I'm living for my last name. Why? Because I want my kids to be able to have food when they get older. Sounds funny, but I just want them to be able to have food, a roof over their head. Sounds insane. But if my kids don't stay at home for as long as they can, they'll never be able to buy their own home. The salaries have not kept up with costs. Now you know why I say investing is going to be a necessity. An absolute necessity. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes because it helps us grow. We're almost at 19.5. What is that? A reason why grocery stores sell seedless fruits is to keep people dependent on buying their produce instead of you growing your own. It's not the store. They don't control the produce. It's not the store. Think about where that fruit comes from. Think about where that fruit comes from. That's who's making the decision. The store is just trying to sell, just trying to make money to put food on the table. Those fruit stands and fruit stores and vegetable stores, those stores, those are small mom and pop businesses 9 times out of 10. They're doing it so that you can't grow anything. Where is that unique? In the United States. It's unique to the United States. All these chemicals in our food that they don't even allow in Europe, unique to the United States. When I tell you that the United States economy could be affected by a whole bunch of things that the rest of the world is not going to be affected by, energy being number one. They're all moving to renewables. We're not. That's what I mean. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And absolutely, thank you for your trust. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. See you tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Crypto Daily. Yeah, I'm going into the city tomorrow. Everybody have a good one. Bye-bye.